British summers are expected to get hotter and drier, with heat waves becoming much more common by 2050, according to the Met Office. We take a look at one particular heat wave that caused roads to melt and the government to panic over a water shortage. A period of unusually hot summer weather occurred in the British Isles during the summer of 1976. At the same time, there was a severe drought on the islands of Great Britain and Ireland. It was one of the driest, sunniest and warmest summers in the 20th century, although the summer of 1995 is now regarded as the driest. Only a few places registered more than half their average summer rainfall. In the CET record, it was the warmest summer in the series until being surpassed in the 21st century. It was the warmest summer in the Aberdeen area since at least 1864, and the driest summer since 1868 in Glasgow. The health effects of the heat contributed to mortality displacement during the year. Wildlife and vegetation effects were also observed. The British government implemented water rationing to mitigate the impact of the drought. It remains a reference point for unusually hot summers in the country. Heathrow had 16 consecutive days over 30 degrees Celsius 86 degrees Fahrenheit from June 23 to July 8, and for 15 consecutive days from June 23 to July 7 temperatures reached 32.2 degrees Celsius 90 degrees Fahrenheit somewhere in England. Furthermore, 5 days saw temperatures exceed 35 degrees Celsius 95 degrees Fahrenheit. On June 28, temperatures reached 35.6 degrees Celsius 96.1 degrees Fahrenheit in Southampton, the highest June temperature recorded in the UK. The hottest day of all was July 3, with temperatures reaching 35.9 degrees Celsius 96.6 degrees Fahrenheit in Cheltenham. The Great Drought was due to a very long dry period. The summer and autumn of 1975 were very dry, and the winter of 1975-76 was exceptionally dry, as was the spring of 1976. Indeed, some months during this period had no rain at all in some areas. The drought was at its most severe in August 1976, and in response Parliament passed the Drought Act 1976 to ration water. Parts of the southwest went 45 days without any rain in July and August. As the hot and dry weather continued, devastating heath and forest fires broke out in parts of southern England. 50,000 trees were destroyed at Herne Forest in Dorset. Crops were badly hit, with £500 million worth of crops failing. Food prices subsequently increased by 12%. In the last week of August 1976, days after Dennis Howell was appointed Minister for Drought, severe thunderstorms brought rain to some places for the first time in weeks. September and October 1976 were both very wet months, bringing to an end the Great Drought of 1975 to 1976. The Haweswater Reservoir had only 10% of its water left. People walked wretched on its bed 60 feet 18 meters below its normal water level. The site of the flooded village of Mardale Green was dry. Ladybower Reservoir in Derbyshire dried out and revealed the flooded villages of Ashopton and Derwent. It was possible to make out the village layout and garden walls. In Ireland the temperature reached 32.5 degrees Celsius 90.5 degrees Fahrenheit in County Offaly on 29 June 1976. There were also gorse fires in County Wicklow. The 1976 heatwave is understood to have been the cause of 20% excess deaths, and there was a significant increase in hospital emergency admissions from June 24 to July 8, 1976 than for the same period in 1975 or 1974. This compares to 59% excess deaths for the 2003 heatwave. Massive swarms of seven-spotted ladybirds occurred across the country, with the British Entomological and Natural History Society estimating that by late July 23.65 billion of them were swarming across the southern and eastern coasts of England. The population explosion occurred because a warm spring had meant there were many aphids, the ladybirds' food prey. As the hot weather dried the plants on which the aphids fed, the aphid populations collapsed, causing the ladybirds to swarm to try to find food elsewhere. The extensive fires paradoxically helped preserve many areas of heathland that had been becoming scrubland through natural succession because of reduced grazing pressure. The only long-term effect of the fires on Dorset heathlands was a change in the composition of scrub. The impacts of the extended drought on mature trees, especially beech, were still evident in UK woodlands in 2013. The effect on domestic water supplies led to the passing of a Drought Act by Parliament. 6. And Minister for Drought, Dennis Howell, was appointed. There was some water rationing and public standpipes in some affected areas. Reservoirs were at an extremely low level, as were some rivers. The rivers Don, Sheaf, Shirebrook and Mearsbrook, all in Sheffield, all ran completely dry, without a drop of water in any of them, as well as Freshaville Pond and Carterhall Pond. Longer term, the UK Department of the Environment realized it needed more information about the storage capacity and other properties of British aquifers as sources of groundwater. The highest temperature during the 1976 heatwave was 35.9 degrees Celsius, 0.8 degrees Celsius below the record at the time of 36.7 degrees Celsius set on 9 August 2022. 1976 has the 13th hottest day in UK history to eye in the Central England Temperature Series. 1976 is the hottest summer for more than 350 years. The average temperature over the whole summer, June, July, August, was 17.77 degrees Celsius, compared to the average for the unusually warm years between 2001 to 2008 of 16.30 degrees Celsius. As of 2022, the hottest years in the series are 2003, 2006, and 2014. The summer became embedded in the national psyche, with subsequent heat waves in 1995, 1997, 2003, 2006 and 2022, all using 1976 as a benchmark. The 1976 heatwave was a rarity within its decade. Heatwaves have since become more frequent and intense due to climate change. The only way to avoid these sorts of extreme events becoming the norm is to level up the ambition of our climate policies and deliver on our existing pledges. So as much as it may be tempting, 1976 isn't an excuse to dismiss this week's heatwave as just another natural event. There's no hiding from the truth. We're changing our climate, and we've got to do more about it.